This is a rather unusual video for the site, but I thought I'd post it as a public service announcement of sorts. A warning to the music community about potential threats that may be posing as teaching opportunities. I regularly get emails from strangers asking if I give private tuba lessons, and if so, what the details are for arranging such lessons. So when I received an email a few weeks ago seeking such information, it read like the usual opening volley of questions. However, after a few emails back and forth to this potential client, things began to take a strange turn that left me more than a little suspicious. Sit back and listen and then tell me what you think of this exchange. I should start by letting you know that my favorite type of YouTube videos to watch are scam baiting videos. For those who don't know what these are, they are videos made by people who intentionally call telephone scammers posing as would-be victims. Each scam baiter has slightly different motives for engaging the scammer, but they all share the same two goals: to educate the general public about the tactics these con men and women use, and to waste as much of the scammer's time as possible. The idea is, the longer a scammer is on the phone with them, the less time the scammers spend defrauding a real victim. Having watched hundreds of these scam baiting videos, my spidey sense got tingling a few emails in. It started with an email from someone calling himself Chris. For this video, I've redacted their last name in case this is a stolen identity, or if in fact it is a genuine, albeit very strange inquiry. The email reads, "Hi, I am looking to hire a tuba instructor for my son Freddie, 13 years old. Are you available to take him for one-on-one sessions in any place near you? If your answer is yes, do mention the venues near you to hold sessions 2 or 3 times weekly, and how much is your hourly rate? It's important you mention venues near you to hold sessions. Kindly refer me to the right persons, tutors, if you ain't available. Regards, Mr. Chris T." This email is harmless enough, and although there were things in it that might suggest that the author was not a native English speaker, the unusual use of capitalizations and colloquialisms, using Mr. in his signature, this would not give me reason for pause. Only a few weeks prior, I had acquired a private student through an email from a Chinese woman whose English was good, but clearly a second language for her. So I responded with my usual information. "Hello, Mr. T. I teach private lessons in my home studio in Norwood, Massachusetts. My hourly rate is $120 per hour, paid at the time of the lesson. 2 to 3 times per week is often too frequent for a student to have lessons, as it takes several days for a person to work and make progress on concepts and techniques that are introduced in lessons. However, if there is a specific event he is preparing for, then we can make special arrangements. Feel free to contact me if you are interested in scheduling some lessons. Cheers, Kenneth Amos." So Chris now has the information he needs. All that's left to do is to see if he agrees to the terms and schedule the lessons. Later that day, I received the following message from Chris. "Hi, Kenneth. Thanks for your message, and I'm delighted to know that you're available to take my son on tuba lessons. Little info about me and family. We live in the UK, and I'm into real estate and construction, work here, but often in the US too for work, and my wife is a nurse. My son Freddie will be relocating temporarily to my sister's house in Norwood, Massachusetts, and your studio will be a perfect place to meet up for lessons. Within a week from this date, I'm hoping lessons can begin. Your rate is fine with me and would like lessons to hold 2 times weekly for 1 to 1.5 hours each day of session for a total duration of 6 weeks in all. How much would it total? I.e., a total of 3 hours of sessions weekly. Get back to me with total amount for 3 hours of sessions weekly for 6 weeks so we can proceed with further arrangements, but weekly hours can be increased to 5 hours if you have available time in your hands. You could create a lesson plan which would help him get back up to speed with practices, since after his accident he hasn't been learning and really needs his lessons to help him meet up again as a learner. If you create lesson plans, it will help you his weaknesses and strength to enable you know best way to take him during each lessons, but he'll bring all his materials along which will be handed to you on his arrival. Regards, Mr. Chris T." Apparently, my advice on the frequency of lessons was either ignored or this was a special situation, so I decided to roll with it. Hello, Mr. T. Two 90-minute lessons per week would be $360 per week, $180 per lesson times 2 lessons. 6 weeks would come to $2,160. This may be difficult to schedule depending on how your son and my schedules align, especially given the holiday season. Will Freddie be in school during the daytime? What days or evenings are best for him? I will come up with a lesson plan after I hear the level of proficiency and experience Freddie is currently at. Chris responded with an even longer email, and this is where it really started to get strange. He writes, "Hi Kenneth, I'm delighted to know we are in agreement here. My wife and I are very fine with your rates, and at this point, I'm most delighted to say that we have a deal and ready to make payment. I do understand it may be difficult to make out a full-time plan during the holiday. Freddie has all the time in the world as he won't be attending school during the 6-week stay. Go ahead and make out the plans necessary and he'll meet up without any hassles. Freddie is considered a beginner as he hasn't been practicing since after his accident. I want you to know that my wife and I had initially hired a private instructor for Freddie, and he was supposed to tutor him for 3 months, which we already paid up front. But just before we concluded on lesson days and time, he lost his wife and canceled the appointment to enable him get his family together. He said to provide an alternative instructor's details to have my money with him sent to him/her for tutoring charges. Could have had him sent my entire 3 months' funds with him to my sister, but my sister at this time is 9 months pregnant with her first child, which she's been having serious complications with her pregnancy. It wouldn't be wise to engage her into receiving the funds for me and pay you daily or weekly as the case may be due to her state now. I'll have him issue a check to you on my behalf and send it out to your location. I'll need you to have the cost, $2,160 for 4 weeks, for Freddie's lessons as agreed at deducted from the funds you'll receive, then have what's left sent to Freddie's travel agent as the funds will be used to secure his BTA, Basic Traveler's Allowance, and travel documents. The remainder of the money will be highly required upon his arrival at the U.S. airport according to the U.S. immigration rules as applicable to an international student. Ken, I'll need you to provide me with your full name as to be written on the check, your contact address where the payment will be sent to, and your phone number to speak with you. I'll instruct him to have the payment issued and sent out to you ASAP to enable us begin any other arrangements before the lesson will begin. I must say Freddie is excited about meeting you soon and looking forward to the lessons ahead and will bring all of his materials and textbook which will be handed over to you to go through for a day or two before sessions begin. Heard him telling his friends over the phone about his new tutor we about to get for him and how he'll be traveling soon, LOL. Regards, Mr. Chris T. So, Chris is saying that he paid another tuba teacher a boatload of money up front. That tuba teacher lost his wife at the last minute and wants my info to send all the money to me because Chris's sister is 9 months pregnant with her first child and prenatal complications, which makes her and anyone caring for her incapable of writing checks on a weekly basis. And since the amount sent from the other tuba teacher will be more than I'm due, I will have to send a portion of the money to Freddie's travel agent. It seems that neither Chris, his sister, nor Freddie would ever have their fingerprints on the money. The funds would be shuttled between me and 2 other third-party individuals. At this point, I'm beginning to understand why there was all the exposition about his and his wife's career, Freddie's debilitating accident, and the postscript about Freddie's excitement telling his friends over the phone about his new tutor. These are tactics employed by a certain type of artist, con artists. Weave an elaborate story of people you can trust, say a nurse and a successful real estate businessman. Draw on your sympathy with a hard luck story about a youngster recovering from an accident, and boost your ego by suggesting that you're the shining light of hope for the child. So I began wondering what type of scam this was. A 419 scam? A refund scam? A money laundering scam? How was it going to evolve? At what point was he going to try to make the flip? So out of curiosity, I probed a bit more to see how Chris would respond to a little more of a challenge. I asked, "What accident are you referring to? Does this affect his ability to play or hold the instrument? What is your sister's name, address, and phone number?" I listed my address and landline and concluded the email with the line, "Only send $2,160 for the 12 90-minute lessons. No more." Chris had emailed me through my website, so he already knew my name, profession, and the city I worked in. A 2-second Google search would have given him my street address and landline, so I wasn't giving up any information that wasn't already publicly and easily available on the net. Besides, this could be a legitimate client, right? Chris responded, "He fractured his leg, but fine now, and it doesn't affect his ability to hold the instrument. She stays in Norwood, Massachusetts, 02062. We'll be waiting for your details to have payment issued and sent you ASAP. Regards." Chris doesn't include his name in the latest email, as if he responded in a hurry or as a quick afterthought, despite the subject being about his son breaking his leg. Maybe Freddie breaks his leg all the time. Chris seemed very eager to remind me of having payment sent to me, though. So I reminded him. "The details you requested were in the last email, name, address, and phone number." His response came quickly and was somewhat predictable. "Okay, seen, but you did say not to send more, which won't be possible. The former instructor can only send out all money he owes me once. Please do help with it." Chris seemed to want to have a specific sum of money moved. I wanted to see if he had a plan B to this convoluted scenario, so I set up a roadblock to see how committed he was to doing things this one way. I wrote, "I do not feel comfortable receiving more money than the work I'm hired to do, and then paying it back to someone. Please make other arrangements for receiving monies in excess of our agreement." Apparently, he didn't have a plan B and was no longer interested in communicating because he didn't respond. A little over a week later, I got curious and sent Chris a quick email to see if I could draw him back into an exchange. I sent him this email. "Hello, are you still interested in tuba lessons for your son? I hope his leg is feeling better." Despite my sincere wish regarding Freddie's injury, I didn't expect Chris to respond, but to my surprise he wrote back, "Oh yes, but you said in the previous email that you are not able to help us handle the remainder of the money. We would really need your help for it." No mention of his son's health or tuba lessons, just straight to the business of money, and it looked like Chris was sticking with his plan, perhaps hoping that sympathy or greed would sway me into accepting his arrangement. Instead, I offered him another solution. "How exactly would it work? Couldn't you have the money sent to your sister and then she could write one check for my services? When would Freddie begin his lessons? I can't wait to hear him play." Chris never responded to this email. So what do you think? Legitimate overseas parent trying to set up tuba lessons for his son, or a new type of email scam? If you think this was a scam, how exactly do you think it would have played out? Have you seen a con game like this before? Leave your answers in the comments below and maybe we can warn other musicians before they fall victim to a potential scam. If you're interested in seeing scam baiters strike back against telephone scammers, here are a few of the more popular ones on YouTube. Jim Browning actually tracks down information on scammers, reports them to the authorities, and warns potential victims. He also manages to get access to the scammer's computer and webcam to show us their entire operation. The YouTube channel Papa Monkey animates calls with cartoon figures for our entertainment. And Kip Boga live streams his daily scam baiting calls on Twitch and then uploads them to YouTube. With his voice-changing software and various personas, he can tie up scammers on the phone for hours.